The twos. Lawanna Gelzer, I want you to listen to Patty Sheehan as she shares her frustration that Tinker Field was never discussed with the council.
We have an historic preservation board and an appeal process for a reason. Policies provide checks and balances, particularly in a strong mayor form of government. The wrecking ball, I'm glad, is not going to hit Tinker Field, but it was imminent. I did not know the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King spoke at Tinker Field or many of the rich historic facts that have come out in the past week. That is because there was no public input. The City Council found out about this plan on Thursday before the Monday vote. There was no time to post meetings for the council to discuss this matter.
Your thoughts?
About time they're waking up. And I was the one sitting in that workshop that Monday to talk about eminent domain, and they talked about Tinker Field, and several people heard me talk about it and freaked out about Tinker Field who knew the history. So how could my city council not know what's been going on? She's been there for 16 years. Maybe we need someone else in that seat. But that lets you know about Buddy, again, transparency. He's not a transparency guy, mayor at all. And it's his way or no way.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure the wrecking ball isn't going to hit Tinker Field, just as it did the McCrory's building.
That's correct. Overnight. All those council members had to sign a statement that they wouldn't share the information. And the next thing you knew, that night after the city council meeting, it went down.
Yeah.
So the bottom line, this is the things that Buddy do. And that's why I'm questioning his behavior as a mayor and as a public servant. This is not a dictatorship. You're supposed to be working for the people. But that's why I'm questioning, who is he truly working for? Because we have enough of what he's been doing. We've had enough.
Do you see race as an issue here? Do you see Buddy Dyer is looking at Paramore? These are African Americans, and maybe it's easier to eminent domain. Do you see it as a race issue, or do you just see it as a power grab issue?
Well, when it comes to eminent domain, historically, mostly when you use eminent domain, it's in African American communities.
Yep. Nationwide.
Nationwide.
Yep,
so
that's true.
I don't want to say it's a black and white issue, but I want to say it's a dollar issue for his friends and the corporate welfare. It's a bullying issue. I've been bullied by the city council, even the mayor. I've been yelled and threatened at city council meetings with arrest. So the bottom line is
wait a minute. You're a public citizen.
Correct.
You go and address, which is what they always say. Hey, we want people to come on down. We want people to come in here and tell us what they're thinking. And you've been threatened with arrest?
Actually, I have a battery charge against an officer who put his hands on me 3 times on October 7th when I was the only person to speak out against the soccer stadium. And Billy, the mayor, yells at me because I lost and he didn't want me in the picture, and he wanted me to give my seat up. Rosa Parks didn't have to give her, she had to give her seat up, but it's 50 years later. Right. I don't have to give my seat up because you don't want me in the picture. How childish. Yes, the officer threatened me, took the sign that was a part of my presentation. It's all on video. And wanted me to leave because Buddy didn't want me in a picture and because I spoke out against him.
Wow. That I did not know.
Yes.
But that, quite honestly, does not surprise me. From
Nothing
your
surprised
buddy,
me.
my buddy, our buddy, Buddy Dyer. Listen, I want you to hear what he had to say about staff's presentation on the Tinker Field plan.
Staff presented a plan relating to Tinker Field and the reconstruction of the Citrus Bowl, which the footprint of the Citrus Bowl is going to impact the right and center field of Tinker Field. And the guiding principle regarding the future of Tinker Field was that this is an opportunity to build a new facility that would restore a functioning baseball stadium to the area and to preserve the historic significance of Tinker Field.
Okay, and then he goes on to talk about the bleachers. The bleachers aren't protected.
Correct. It's the field.
It's the field, which they have already impacted. They have already impacted by expanding the Citrus Bowl. They have impacted what was protected. The bleachers aren't protected.
Correct.
We'll save the bleachers. We'll save them. That's not the significance. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke from the pitcher's mound.
Correct.
That's where he spoke. You know, it is frustrating when you hear what happened in Atlanta. You know, the mayor has not just done this to Paramore. He has done this, in my opinion, to all of Central Florida. To everyone who lives in Orange County ought to be outraged by this. We were told we could not get a soccer team unless we built a soccer stadium.
A
specific one. We could not play in the Citrus Bowl, and yet Atlanta just was awarded their team. They're allowed to play where the Falcons play football. Now, if we're expanding the Citrus Bowl, Tom Morgan, our sports guy here, was in yesterday, and I said, wow, it's been 20 years, Tom. Since 1994, it's been 20 years since we had World Cup here. Where did they play? The Citrus Bowl. It is very frustrating. In the last minute, why isn't there a civil rights lawsuit?
That's not necessarily true. It's coming. We're gathering our data. But back to the soccer stadium in Atlanta, 2 churches was a part of the new construction. They sat and met with the churches and did what they needed to do. They didn't have to use eminent domain. But I went to the county commission and I said, I don't know what else I could say, but shame. I didn't say shame on you. I said, we told you so.
Yeah.
So you've been provided 40 studies. This is not going to work. So in closing, I just want people to wake up and realize, who is Buddy Dyer really serving? It's not the community. And I think it's all of his donors, especially certain ones. And to me, that spells corruption. And maybe the bottom line is he's more concerned about his legacy. Well, it's not a legacy to me. He needs to be gone, and we need to question him. So the lawsuit, the civil rights lawsuit, our civil rights have been violated so many times in the Paramore community and surrounding community for them to fail to do what they promised to do over 20 years ago.
Lawanna Gelzer, thank you so much for joining us on the 50,000-watt front porch. It is an honor to have you here as a citizen who not only, just complains about things, but gets their facts together, goes to meetings, gains more information about government and politics, and is using it for the betterment of our community.
Thank you.
God bless you for your work. Thank you for joining us this morning. And you are listening to News Radio 1025 WFLA.